Welcome back into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Stephen Levine, Tom Voort sitting alongside, and we talk a lot about, all right, who's the best stable in the garage, who's the strongest team in the garage, and obviously it ebbs and flows, and it's a constant changing thing, but as of right this minute, as we are sitting here discussing it,
right,
number one is either going to be Hendrick Motorsports or Roush Fenway.
I got to go with Hendrick. I mean, I think Jimmy is on a roll right now. Casey's come back to where we expected him to be. Dale Jr. is looking as good as he has ever at Hendrick Motorsports. I think he's on the verge of picking up a win. You questioned Jeff Gordon a little bit, but certainly the 600 was a nice night for him. So I like Hendrick Motorsports at number one.
But
I mean, Jimmy Johnson he's got to be scaring a lot of people right about now.
But
yes, you said that.
You look at the point standings. First and second, Roush Fenway. Carl Edwards is what, 10th right now? Something like that.
Yeah, 10th or 9th, yep.
Yeah, and whereas Jeff Gordon and Casey Kane are out of the top 10, they're not currently in chase-eligible positions. So, now I know Casey is making a move and he's on the upswing, but if you just go by the point standings, you would have to give the nod to Roush Fenway over Hendrick Motorsports.
Well, the point standings goes from February till now, right? What kind of speed are these teams showing right now? I submit to you that the best team in the garage right now is Hendrick Motorsports.
It's hard to argue with, but I think you could make a case.
And I think Roush Fenway is clearly number two.
I think you could make a case for Roush Fenway.
And then the question to me becomes,
who's number three?
Who's number three? We used to have Gibbs and Childress as sort of the big four.
Well, Childress ain't there anymore.
I don't think Childress is there right now.
Gibbs may be starting to get back there.
Joe Gibbs Racing, to me, had the kind of start to the year that it was sort of half full or half empty. You got to like what Denny Hamlin's doing, winning 2 races. Looks like he's back to where he was a couple years ago when he could win a bunch of races, contend for a championship. But you had to feel the speed wasn't consistently there, I don't think, for that team. Joey Logano not taking the next step. Kyle Busch not really looking as threatening as he usually does in some of these races. So are they your third or not? But I think based on what I've seen in what I saw in the 600 and what I think we're going to see out of Kyle at Dover, I'm going to put them at number 3.
Well, here's number 4 for you. It ain't Richard Childress.
You think it's Michael?
I think it's Michael Waltrip Racing. I mean, I think Richard Childress has not looked nearly as racy as the Michael Waltrip Racing cars in general. I mean, there have been exceptions here and there, but with Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr., and then sort of the tag team of Brian Vickers, Mark Martin, and a little bit of Michael Waltrip thrown in there for good measure, I think Michael Waltrip Racing right now has surpassed Richard Childress Racing as the 4th team in the garage.
Yeah, it could be, and I would put certainly Childress at 4th or 5th, and then I think you have to look at Penske.
I think so.
Because Brad Keselowski continues to impress.
I think you could even make an argument to put Penske ahead of Childress right now.
I think maybe, except you know, they only got 2 cars, and A.J. Allmendinger, he's not doing it. He's not. I shouldn't say he's not doing it. He's not finishing where he needs to finish to make you say, hey, 50% of that team, 50% of that team is not in the top 20. So that's why it's hard to say Penske Racing. But you look at Keselowski and you have to be very impressed with how he's built on what he did last year and continues to evolve as a driver.
Compare Jeff Burton to Allmendinger, though. I mean, that's kind of a wash. Right. Paul Menard is actually,
Menard's, what, 13th in the
points? He's 13th, I mean, which isn't bad. He doesn't have, he's not looking racy.
He might be 14th.
He's not competing for wins, but he's hanging in right now.
He's showing some consistency. But that's true. I mean, if you look at Childress versus Penske, I think you're comparing, as far as the top driver, you're comparing Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski.
And Keselowski gets the nod right now, maybe not in terms of consistency, but in terms of wins.
Kevin Harvick is so, you know, he seems like, I've said this before, he seems like a hothead, but the guy does not give away points on the racetrack. He just doesn't. He's a very smart race car driver. So, you know, I like Kevin Harvick a lot as a driver.
Yeah,
and I'm very impressed with Keselowski. So to me, it's a push a little bit there.
Okay, and then what do you have left? You have Richard Petty Motorsports left. They're clearly, I think, a step behind Penske and RCR. And then you've got the also range. You got the front rows and the
rest of the bunch,
Dougherty's, the JTG Dougherty's, etc. So I'm very comfortable saying Michael Waltrip Racing, though, has surpassed Richard Childress Racing right now.
For Stephen Levine, I'm Tom Voort. We'll see you next time.